Welcome to the forest and the internet, where I will bring you information regarding locked hair. Today I'm going to talk about shrinkage, the shrinking of dreadlock length, things related to. I've talked a lot about shrinkage. I've used the term shrinkage many times. Many people use the word shrinkage. Basically, in a nutshell, shrinkage is what happens when you get new dreadlocks and they go from X length, the length that you had with normal straight hair, to the length that the dreadlocks are. Shrinkage can happen all at once or slowly over the first year, different for different people. Okay, so when you're starting your dreadlocks and you have nice normal straight hair or curly hair, but basically non-locked hair, for the purpose of this demonstration, this explanation, this example, I will say that let's say my hair is down to chest height. So if I've got chest length normal hair and then I go and get dreadlocks, or I start dreadlocks, the locks that I get won't be chest length. How long they actually will be depends on a number of factors. But basically, hair in locks does not grow straight from the scalp downwards. The hairs in here don't go from here to here straight off. They go round and round and zig and zag and not up. So dreadlocks are going to grow slower than normal hair because the hair does not grow straight down. But when you start new dreadlocks, you will find that your once rather long chest length hair gets compressed and crushed up and becomes a lot smaller. I did have pretty much chest length hair when I started my dreadlocks, and if you have seen my video where you can see my young dreads, you'll see that they were definitely not that length when they were knotted up. They were maybe this length. And that is because all that hair was backcombed really tight and compressed and smushed up into little short dreads. Which brings me on to the differences in shrinkage between the different methods. If you do backcombing, if you have your hair backcombed, you can find that the dreads become very short from the very beginning. And that's because backcombing can very quickly make really tight, short dreads, and you can backcomb quite tightly. And if you do that, you will get your shrinkage all at once. So you can go from long hair to little short dreadlocks that won't shrink any further because they're as compressed as they're going to get. The pros and cons of this: pro, you're not going to have any shrinkage over the longer period of time because they can't physically compress anymore. The con, which I think outweighs the pro, is that those dreads, if they're really really tightly backcombed, they're going to stay sort of like rocks, and they sometimes don't loosen up and they stay quite stiff and look kind of unnatural. So I generally recommend that you sort of don't backcomb really tight and deal with the shrinkage rather than try and get it all out of the way in the very beginning. It's different with twist and rip. You generally can't twist and rip the hair as tightly as you can backcomb it. So twist and rip dreads can sometimes not look as short from the beginning. So you can twist and rip chest length hair and maybe find you only lose a few inches. And then over the following months, as your dreadlocks mature, you may watch them very constantly but slowly shrink up to whatever length they're going to shrink to. Again, if you've loosely backcombed the dreads, they can shrink too. If you're going with the natural neglect method, obviously there is no initial shrinking because you don't backcomb or twist and rip, it's just your normal hair. But as the hair starts to knot and clump together, you will also see it shrink up. And that is because everything is knotting together and compressing. This happens slowly, unless you really tightly backcomb the dreads. It happens slowly over the months in which your dreadlocks are maturing. So the sort of maturing process for dreadlocks is when the hair that you have to start with tightens and tightens and locks up from root to tip. And so during this time, all those hairs that were originally loose, straight hairs are going to be compressing and tightening and squeezing together and crunching up. So depending on how thick your hair is, so how much hair is in a section and therefore how much hair there's going to be in a dread, that is one of the variables that sort of determines how much your hair is going to shrink up, along with what method you've started with. Shrinkage is nothing to be afraid of. I've had a few messages with people saying, my dreads are just getting shorter, they're not getting longer. Shrinking and shrinkage is a positive sign. It's a sign that the dreadlocks are getting tighter. It's a visible sign. You can actually see that the dreadlocks are getting tighter. You can see that they've gone from this length to this length, and therefore they're compressed, they're tight. Shrinkage only happens to the original length of hair. So once your dreadlocks are matured, so once all the hair that was originally there is tight and locked. That is the end of shrinkage. So for the first year you may find that the dreads are just getting shorter and shorter and shorter, and some people have actually messaged me saying, my dreadlocks aren't growing. And it's not that they're not growing, it's that they're shrinking faster than they're gaining length. And then you'll find that then they stop shrinking and just don't seem to grow at all, and that's because they're shrinking as fast as they're growing, and then they'll start to grow out again. This is because only the original hairs compress. The hairs from your root are going to be growing and compressing at a constant rate. There's no grow out, shrink, grow out, shrink. It all happens in one motion. So once everything is shrunk up, then they will continue to grow at a constant rate. They won't be growing as fast as your normal straight hair would, because again it doesn't grow straight down, it crisscrosses and compresses. But shrinkage is something that you only go through while your dreads are still young. I think that's everything I have to say on shrinkage. If I have not covered something regarding the shrinking of hair in dreadlocks that you would like to know, if you have a particular case or a worry or something like that, you leave it down in the comments box and I will get straight back to you. And the same with any locked hair questions that you would like me to answer. I will get back to you again as soon as I can if you just leave it down in the comments box. If you like this video, click the thumbs up because then I know somebody liked it. And if you would like to see more, you can subscribe and then all my videos will get sent to you as soon as they're uploaded. Lots more information on lazydreads.com. You can follow me on Twitter, lazy_dreads. I think that's everything I have to say. Let me think. That is all. Thank you. Goodbye.